What's up, Totem Pole Nation? Welcome back to Lambo and Matt's World of Sports. Today, we're getting into the men's side of bracketology. We're going to give our brackets, our picks of why we think things are going to be the way they are. But guess what? Nobody's getting a perfect bracket. Ours are going to be probably just as terrible as everyone else's. But I will mention, I'm on a 2-year hot streak of one of my brackets. I make like 4 a year. One of them, 2 years in a row, has gone to that top 99%. So hopefully I can carry that over with the bracket I'm going to show y'all here. We'll see how Lambo's is as well. As always, shout out to Sideline Sports Network. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Make sure to visit TotemPoleNation.com for some gear to support the boys. Without further ado, let's get into the men's side of March Madness right now. Oh, wait.
Oh, go ahead. What's your
Before
surprise?
we start, I have received the package. Feels like a jacket or something is inside of here. So we're going to do a little live unboxing of some Totem Pole merch just to show the people what they're missing out on. All right.
Everything is on sale too.
Everything is on sale, baby. All right. I should probably not be holding this knife up in the air.
That t-shirt of little kids, you can cut yourself with that goddamn knife.
Hey, I am a skilled knife user when it comes to the kitchen. So it shouldn't be. There we go. There we go. Woo! Got the bubble wrap. Oh, we got some new hats. All right. I like that. And here, the big ticket item from the Totem Pole Nation website on sale, the varsity jacket. Come on now. Don't fuck with us. We'll see how it looks over this. It's a good material on the inside.
Is it still cold in Blacksburg?
It's cold as shit, dude. I golfed earlier today. I wore this because it was cold as hell. And it was supposed to get up to like 60, but it didn't. It got up to like 42, but felt like 38. So my hands were getting pretty cold out there on the course. But here we are, geared up, totem poled up. Jackets look sweet. Now we can get into our brackets. You take it away.
So the bracket's not really on me, but I'm thinking about matchup. Oh, Gonzaga versus McNeese. All right. I like what Will Wade is doing, right? He turned that program around. He bet on himself. McNeese last year went 11-23, and now they tripled their wins, or almost tripled, and won 30 games. They only lost 3 games this year. Give me McNeese to upset Gonzaga. Now, I understand what Gonzaga is. I understand who they are. I understand who Mark Few is. I understand that Gonzaga has some miracle, buzzer beaters and stuff in the past. But look, at the end of the day, who do I trust? I'm going to take a McNeese to beat Gonzaga. That's who I am going to take to win the first round. Those are going to be one of those upsets that I like.
Very nice. All right, so what I'm going to do is share my bracket that I've made. Now, this is 1.0, right?
Yeah.
So the issue that I came across, obviously, is, except for this here, which I'll explain, I have a 1 seed, a 1 seed, a 2 seed, and then going down here, I have another 1-2, 1-2. So, realistically, that's not going to happen. But as of right now, that's kind of how I see things. So we'll start in the East. UConn over Stetson. I don't really think there's much of an argument there. FAU, from what I've read and what I've watched, is overseeded like crazy. A lot of people had them in like double digits when it came to seeding. So them being an 8 kind of throws me off. So I'm going Northwestern there. San Diego State over UAB. I feel like a matchup like this every year where like both teams are 5-12. You could see the upset happening there, but I'm going to roll with San Diego State. We've talked about Auburn in the past. They have a really, really good squad. It's unfortunate that they're going to line up with UConn, but I have them winning their first 2 goes. BYU and Duquesne. Look, I'm gonna switch that. I don't really know jack shit about either one of these teams. I do know though that Tone from the Pat McAfee show played football at Duquesne, so we're gonna throw a little bit that way. But I have no clue about BYU or Duquesne. Illinois has been hot. Morehead State is one of the lowest teams when it comes to efficiency in the country, so I'm not really giving them much of a chance. Drake has been talked about very highly and written about very highly, so I'm just going off that. Iowa State has been red hot for the past, like, what, month and a half, 2 months. They've been a team that's been clicking. Longwood, 16 seed. Sorry, dude. It was a fun trip, I'm sure, but they're gone after the first round. Texas A&M, Buzz and those boys, they've been playing kind of up and down, but I'm going to trust Buzz to get them out of the first round. Wisconsin and James Madison has been talked about as one of like the most exciting 5-12 matchups in the country, and I can definitely see it going either way. But JMU's been hot, right, in sports in general for this whole year. I'm still going to roll with Wisconsin there. Duke and Vermont. Maybe this is one of those years where Duke loses in the first round. I obviously don't think they're getting past the round of 32. I really just don't think they're that good. NC State, I could see beating Texas Tech here. But I just don't know if that magic is going to continue into the tournament. Kentucky and Oakland, obviously I'm taking Kentucky there, but they have not been a consistent team on defense at all. And really, I think a 3 seed came more with the name than the resume, which you can fight me in the comments if you disagree. But I think that a 4 seed would have been more what their resume warranted. I'm taking them to get upset. I'm just them and Duke on the same side, both losing. That's probably not going to happen. One of them are going to get to the Sweet 16, but that's what I have on my first try so far. Boise State and Colorado, neither one of them should be in the playoff. I thought that they were massively disrespected. Colorado is like top 25 in the net and the KenPom. So I don't know where to – I guess it's more resume than anything, but still 10 seems insanely low. So regardless, Boise State's also very good. I'm kind of banking on it being Colorado, but I would take Boise State over Florida as well. Now, if it is Colorado, I'm taking them to upset Marquette. I love Shaka. I love what he did at VCU. Taking that team to the Final Four is awesome. That was in 2011, all right? And if we go back, he hasn't had the most successful marches that we assume from a coach of his level, you know? So I think that continues. If it is Colorado, which that's my qualifier here. If it is Colorado, I think they beat Marquette. I think Marquette beats Boise State. Either way, I don't really think Texas Tech is, like beating Kentucky is big, but I think that's kind of inflated just because it's Kentucky. So I'm going to roll with Colorado beating them as well, going to the Elite Eight, and then Houston puts that fire out. UConn advances to the Final Four. Down here, UNC, not going to really have an issue with Howard or Wagner. Michigan State is ranked very highly in a lot of analytical areas, so I took them over Mississippi State, who was also overseeded. But I don't think that goes very far. I've heard a lot about Alabama possibly getting upset by Charleston. I'm not super high on that. St. Mary's looks great when it comes to rankings, but we do have to account for the conference they play in. So I think they win the one, but Alabama comes out on top of that. UNC wins, and UNC meets Arizona for a Caleb Love reunion in the Elite Eight. New Mexico, I think, is kind of just an all-around I don't want to say better team than Clemson, but definitely a team that can handle Clemson. So I'm not. I don't think I'm breaking any news here when I say New Mexico is my favorite in that game. Baylor, it's Colgate. They're not really ranked highly in anything. Nevada, I think, takes care of Dayton. Arizona then takes care of Nevada, and it's just really basic here. I was really tempted to take Creighton over Tennessee, but I think that if Tennessee gets hot at the right time, there's really no one that's going to beat them. I'm with you over here. Gonzaga was only rated a 5 seed because of their name, not because of this season. If there's any season where Gonzaga doesn't win their conference, they shouldn't be treated like we've been known to treat them. Shouldn't. If they are by far the best team, best coach team, well-funded team in their conference, and if they're not winning that conference every year, I don't really want to talk about them like a national powerhouse. It's different from a UNC or a Duke not winning, or Kentucky not winning the SEC or ACC. There's a bunch of dogs in those conferences. Gonzaga, you're not playing in a conference with all that heat. So I don't really think too much of a McNeese. I think then upsets Kansas. I think Kansas could get upset here at Samford. I've heard that a lot. They're not a deep team, and they've got more injuries piling up. So give me Will Wade to beat Kansas as well. That fire gets put out by Purdue, and then we have a Purdue-Tennessee Elite Eight matchup where I'm taking Tennessee. And then UNC Tar Heels are my national champions on the 1.0. The Sportscast, what's up, dog? What is going on? So look, Purdue, I think, has a much easier road to the Final Four than they did the year before, but I still don't trust them in March. I mean, and I get it. This is an older Purdue team, a better Purdue team, but like, I just don't trust them in March, man. And you can't blame me. What do I think Texas A&M will do? I've got you. I think that they take out Nebraska in the round of 64, but unfortunately fall to Houston. I like what Buzz has going on down there. I don't like Buzz for what he did to Virginia Tech, but I think what he's put together down there, they've played pretty shaky to end the year. But I think that they definitely come away with that upset in the first round. So I've seen some faces. Let me know. Let me know what you're thinking here. Let me know what you're thinking.
Okay. Well, one, you can keep the bracket on there, but one, James Madison. James Madison surprisingly won 30 games this year. Nobody expecting James Madison. I guess they won their conference too. Nobody expected James Madison to win 30 games. So you're telling me that James Madison is going to fold to Wisconsin. I understand Wisconsin is they play in the toughest conference of college basketball. The Big Ten is not easy to play basketball, especially with Northwestern in that conference. But you're telling me that the 12 seeds have upset the 5 seeds in the past. You're telling me that James Madison is not going to be able to make history against Wisconsin. And then just imagine if they advance. I have a potential to say that James Madison beats Duke. Not only that, you can respond after I'm done. There's multiple things. One, when I look at scroll up for a second, scroll up. All right,
What the? Okay.
right there. Okay, FAU, right? It said FAU and Northwestern, right?
Yeah.
Ryan Young transferred out of Northwestern. Robbie Barron transferred out of Northwestern. They both play in the ACC. But Boo Bowie is the only guy that can score in Northwestern. I watched Northwestern for 4.5 years. Boo Bowie's the only person that can score. I understand they got Brooks Barnheiser. They also, Julian Roper transferred out of Northwestern. That's three. All of those guys play in the ACC. Julian Roper plays for Notre Dame as well, even though they lost. But Northwestern has injuries as well. FAU 2 years ago or last year snuck in the Final Four. They were the last 8 or the last Final Four, and I understand it's a different roster and a different team. But an injury-prone Northwestern, we've seen what happened in the past when they have injuries. They're not as good. Northwestern would win if Boo Bowie scores 30-plus points per game. I don't see that happening. Boo Bowie needs some help. understand that he's the leading scorer in Northwestern history when it comes to basketball, but he's going to need some help along the lines. Now, Kentucky. I do agree with you that Kentucky does not have a defense. I've said that multiple times. Them losing to Texas Tech is more like a fuck no. I don't think Texas Tech is really all of that anyway. And I understand our defense isn't all that either, but Texas Tech is not a threat to us, right? Let's say we advance to Elite Eight. Our problem is going to be probably against James Madison if they advance to Elite Eight for a miracle. Duke is going to be our problem, and Houston is going to be our problem. Those are the only two teams I'm very concerned of just because of size. Now, John Calipari says we have size. We can put 2 7-foot guys up there and have less offense and worry more about defense. But those are the only two teams I'm concerned when it comes to the Kentucky bracket. Now, Kentucky, they're probably going to disappoint me once again. But I think at the end of the day, we will see how this goes. Scroll down to the bottom. I want to go on the
One thing before
go ahead.
we Northwestern has, regardless of their top scorer beating the guy that really leads the way, they still have a top 30 offense in the country. So I wanted to throw that in there as well. They did have a lot of transfers, a lot of turnover. I get it, but FAU has looked like shit for the past 2 months.
It's 2 months. Tomorrow could be any. I mean, not tomorrow.
I'm with you.
Thursday
I'm
when
with
they
you. Hey,
play
Northwestern's
any
the
given
underdog.
day. Any given day. Now let's go over here. North Carolina. Now North Carolina has a legit chance to make it. I'm not. I'm not pressuring you on that. North Carolina played like shit against NC State, and I was right. I told people NC State had the momentum. Now I understand they don't play each other anymore for a while, right? North Carolina's problem is if they get down by too much, they might just end up losing, right? They were down too big against NC State. They came back, they tied the game. But if North Carolina doesn't make any shots, they're going to be screwed. Now, I don't think Alabama's really all that, to be honest. I think they have trouble with Michigan State, right? Michigan State plays in a tough conference. I understand you can say, oh, they're 19-14. And that record doesn't really matter in March Madness. I think Michigan State, with the experience of Tom Izzo, what he can do, I understand North Carolina has all the 5 stars, R.J. Davis, Armando Bacot. I understand what roster that they have, but I think Michigan State could pull out the possible upset of North Carolina. Defensively, Michigan State is pretty good. Offensively, they know how to game plan and know how to strategize. But if North Carolina does not make their shots, they might be in trouble against Michigan State. Despite what Michigan State's record has been in the past, they're always going to be tough. They're always going to be complete. It's just that game that reminded me on my birthday 4 years ago when they beat Duke team with R.J. Barrett, Zion Williamson. That team that they beat, they came in and made clutch shots at the end of the game. That game's going to come down to clutch shots. Now, you're mentioning New Mexico. I think Eddie House's son plays for New Mexico. New Mexico can make some noise, right? Let's say New Mexico upsets Clemson. Okay, I agree with you on that one. But Baylor isn't as good in that conference, right? Houston, even though they got blown out by Iowa State in the championship game, Houston is more of a threat than Baylor. Now, Baylor was very good 2 years ago, but this is not the same Baylor team um, that once was. So I'm going to take New Mexico State to go even further to at least the Sweet 16. Now, before you respond, Purdue. You got Purdue going into the Elite Eight. Purdue versus McNeese State. I'm going to be real with you. I'm going to pick McNeese State to upset Purdue. Purdue only has one guy, and his name is Zach Edey, the guy that drops about 25 to 30 points a game. I understand with the double doubles, but Purdue just makes weird decisions when it comes to the second half of games. Look what happened last year when they lost in the first round to a team we don't even know the name of, right? I just find I don't think, and I understand Purdue is number one and blah, 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 blah. But Purdue, with that experienced roster they have, they're going to make mistakes and they're just going to fold under pressure. So I securely don't agree with Purdue making it that damn far. Despite TCU getting blown out by Houston a couple weeks ago, by like 20, 30 points. I wouldn't be surprised if Purdue gets upset by TCU. But I sure as damn hell that Purdue ain't making it to the damn Elite Eight or the Final Four talking about the last 14 is gonna be Purdue versus Tennessee. That ain't gonna happen. Now the last thing I say about Tennessee is you got Tennessee going against Creighton. Um, that's not gonna happen. I'm gonna pick Creighton to beat Tennessee. Creighton has been there before. I understand Tennessee has guys that can shoot, but at the end of the day, I doubt that we're gonna have an SEC team make the Final Four or the Elite Eight. That is my opinion. Everything else on this bracket looks fine, except for everything I just damn near said.
Yeah, no, I hear you. And the Creighton thing, I said that when I was explaining. Like, I could definitely see Creighton pulling that game off for sure. Purdue,
I just
I,
think Purdue is just so
I'm
simple.
with you. I don't trust them in March either. Like, I think that they're going to fold as well. I just don't. I think that this route to the, in this case right here, the Elite Eight, I think it's just like if you take care of that 16 seed, which obviously you can't just write it off, but if you take care of the 16 seed, I think that the next two games in front of you until you get to the Elite Eight, you should be able to handle. And I know that we can't trust them in March. It's just my trust is running out a little bit later than yours is. I think we have similar opinions on who Purdue is in March. The Michigan State thing, I hear you when it comes to defense. UNC still has a better ranked defense than Michigan State. And I hear you. They went down early to NC State and couldn't finish the job. Michigan's offense, I get it. It's March, and maybe Izzo, lights a fire under their ass. I just the lopsidedness of how these teams have played this year consistently is just too much for me to bet against. Now, Bama, I think I agree with you. I don't think that they're as much as they're made out to be, and I could see them losing before they even get to the Sweet 16. But whatever, there. I'm with you with New Mexico. I think they have a chance to upset Baylor. Down here, we didn't have anything. Who are we talking about? We already mentioned Northwestern. Okay. So the Texas Tech and Kentucky thing, it was tough because, like I said, I don't think Kentucky and Duke are both going to lose in the round of 32. But it's just like my first instinct when I'm looking, it's like Kentucky is going to disappoint people. And I know that there's going to be a good amount of Kentucky fans or people that aren't even Kentucky fans, but just make their brackets off of names. And it's going to disappoint a lot of people. And I just don't know at what point in time they're going to disappoint. So I hear you. Texas Tech might not be the team to do it. But even if I'm completely wrong down here, I don't think that they get past the Sweet 16 in this year's bracket.
So who's wait. Who's a threat to Kentucky if they make the Sweet 16? Who's a threat to them? In that bracket, what? Marquette maybe?
Marquette could, Colorado could if it is Colorado, which is what I'm kind of banking on here. Boise State is good too. I don't think either one of these teams should be playing into the tournament. But if it's Colorado, I could side with them over Kentucky. Yeah, them or Marquette.
Mm.
Like I'm not worried about Florida.
I don't think Florida's going to do much. I'm not worried about
Well,
Florida.
yeah, I have them losing first round.
Oh, one more thing before we end this.
Yeah.
Drake, you got Iowa State beating
Iowa
Drake.
State's been hot.
Okay, I understand they beat Houston by 20 plus points in the championship game. Even though I lost some money, I understand that. But we've seen teams win the conference championship and lose in the first round. We've
I've
seen
got NC State losing in the first round.
I'm talking about in the past. We've seen that. Like, didn't Duke win it last year? Did Duke win the ACC last year? And they lost in the first round.
Your guess would be better than mine. Let's see.
I thought it was Duke. I thought Duke because it won. UNC hasn't won the titles probably for like a good little while. It's been a while since they won the titles. I thought Duke won it last year. Not we know Virginia Tech was the year before. Talking about
Yeah.
last year, but if they won it last year and they lost in the first round, that shows that Duke was only good because of Coach K, not the new coach.
Yeah, Duke won in a thrilling 59-49 game versus UVA.
There you go. That's my point with Iowa State. I think Drake can make an upset. And I'm not saying Drake because the rapper named Drake. I think Drake can make some noise very early. I I got Drake upsetting Iowa State. I think Drake's gonna make some shots. Most of these teams with these 10 seeds, what are they, a 10 seed? Most of these 10 seeds are really gonna surprise you. Most of these 10 seeds, like what we had, Loyola Chicago make the Elite Eight one year. Like teams like I feel like Drake is a team that's like a Loyola Chicago type team. Like they just have miracles. You got Sister Jean on the sideline and stuff like that. Those are the type of miracles that might happen with Drake as well. So I think Drake can upset Iowa State. Now they might not get past Illinois because Illinois does have a dog, and Illinois did just win their conference championship as well. But I got Drake upsetting Iowa State. I don't think Iowa State goes that far unless South Dakota State just has something in the bag where Iowa State ends up like Baylor 3 years ago where they just can't goddamn rebound. So that's basically my take on this bracket. The first four games are tomorrow, and I'm so sick because I can't stand UVA fans. They were so excited to barely get in the tournament. They barely got in, and the reason why I want to bring it up because the NIT biz. I was watching NIT, and luckily Virginia Tech has a home game tomorrow. A men's home game tomorrow in NIT versus Richmond. They got so lucky they got a home game. You know why they got lucky? Is because Pitt didn't want to be the NIT. St. John's didn't want to be the NIT. There was multiple other teams that didn't want to be in the NIT as well. I felt like Pittsburgh should have been in over UVA. I thought Pittsburgh was a great ACC team, despite what they gone through. They blew out Virginia Tech by 20 points. I mean, why is UVA in the first four when they got smacked by Virginia Tech by 30 points? They barely beat Boston College, and they blew a game against NC State. They blew that shit. I mean, I'm not saying Tony Bennett is not a good coach, but it comes to a point where if you watch UVA, right? This is not the 2019 UVA hopes. This is not the Kyle Guy, the Ty Jerome's, right? They don't have the athletic tall dude that can block shots. This team has fallen off. Maybe Tony Bennett can recruit, but these guys can't shoot threes for shit. Did you see that Virginia Tech game? All you people that was talking shit like it was football season. Oh, look what we did to y'all in football. You got beat 55-17 and you barely put up 41 points. It's the same shit we're gonna do to y'all next year, right? All these UVA fans, all this trash talk is so fun. But y'all got excited for barely making the tournament in the first four. If I was UVA, I'd be damn near embarrassed as shit. Embarrassed. I wouldn't be surprised if y'all lose tomorrow. I got y'all losing tomorrow in the first four, and I gotta go to Blacksburg and watch the NIT just because the tickets was free, right? I'll be sitting there watch y'all lose, talking about some we this and we that. I think Pittsburgh should have been in the first four over UVA just because Pittsburgh has a defensive team. Jeff Cable had to build the team from scratch. He is a Duke assistant. He had to build the team from scratch. Do you know how bad Pittsburgh was before he got there? UVA was already good, but do you understand how bad Pittsburgh really was? No. None of y'all understand how bad that program was. And he got them up to winning 20 plus games. It ain't enough. But UVA can barely get in or what 22-10 or 11, whatever the record is. And you're telling me you almost lost to Boston College? You went to overtime with Boston College? I mean, get out of here. And then blow NC State? Man, come on, man. UVA is all that. Nah, I don't want to hear. I'm calling out all the players y'all recruited. Maybe you could have recruited Robbie Barrett. Maybe he could have helped you, but no, you folded on that too. But you don't have a Hunter Couture. You don't have a Sean Padula. I'm sorry. The UVA curse is over. You will never be good again. You'll be mediocre in basketball. And next year, when it comes to football season, you will be complete dog shit. And you can sit there and talk shit. And talk about you're going to beat Virginia Tech for the Commonwealth Cup. And you're going to sit there and lose because here's what happens. You have a head coach that doesn't have time to rebuild, and your recruits, you have a shitty quarterback. Let me know if the UVA quarterback is going to be better than Kyron Jones. I don't think so. You can play NCAA 25 all you want when it gets released in July of whatever day it comes out in July. And y'all can sit there and have your hopes and dreams with the little dynasty. UVA is gonna win the national championship. That shit will never happen. Here's my mark for UVA football before we end this. UVA next year goes 4-8. Mark my words. 4-8. The head coach gets fired, and y'all need to build from the NIL. And Colorado will be better than UVA next year.
That'd be a step up from what they just did this past year. They only won 3.
The Colorado will be better than UVA next year.
I agree, 100%. That is the perfect way to wrap up any sports show is shitting on UVA. You know, I'm all for it. Thank you, everyone, for watching. We're going to get into the women's next. As always, like, comment, subscribe. Shout out to Sideline Sports Network. Let's get over to the women's episode. Thanks for watching.